Greetings and welcome to another episode of Open Up with My Lindy. It is exciting. It is 2022, compliments of the new season. And as you know, I'm never alone. Today, we have a precious guest who's going to introduce himself.
My name is Bishop Prince Nduli, founder of Grace Life Center, media personality, and so on.
Oh, media personality and so on. Please greet the viewers at home.
Sanmanan Babugeli, hi. Hope you're well wherever you are, wherever you're watching us from.
Yes. As I've said, I'm never alone. Today I'm with the bishop himself. We are talking all things young lions. We are not done with that topic. So today we will be focusing on young lions and being sheltered by the girls in the church, especially the older women and all the pressure. Before we get to that, I would like the bishop to share a bit about himself and what he's been through in his life before we get to the gist of what we are about to talk about today.
Sure. Do you have 3 hours? I think Prince is a young man who got saved at the age of 17. I was part of a church called Gateway Church International. That's where I found my identity and that's where I grew up. And I think majority of what I know today, I learned from there. And then when I slowly moved, because I moved in with my grandmother, after I finished my matric, and from there, that's when I moved and went to life-changing sanctuary. So most of my Christian life, I grew up knowing a lot of people, meeting new people, and with meeting different dynamics of people and different people, you start to interact with people differently. So yeah, I think Prince is I'm a very bubbly person. I'm a very funny person. I'm a very smart person. So very spiritual
Crazy
as well.
too.
Yeah, very spiritual. And so yeah, I think as I grew up, what I've learned to value is the value of relationships and family. I think those are one of my 2 core values that I hold and uphold very much. So yeah.
Wow, fantastic. Now you got born again at the age of 17, you grew in the church and all of that. When did you discover that the Lord has called you into ministry?
Yo, I think I've been playing around so much. When I started youth at Gateway, they used to call me mini TD because I used to imitate TD so much. I didn't know I had a calling. I hated anything to do with calling because I think it just the way they portray calling was always such a bad way. They made it seem like we are all going through a lot, and so I hated that part of ministry. But I grew up doing everything, you are in music, you are in arts, you are in poetry. And some way or another, I just found myself within the preaching crew. Then that's when I realized God is actually calling me into this area. There were people who played a pivotal role in my growing up, and they made me realize that this thing actually is in you. As much as I was fooling around with it, they made me realize that it's actually there. You can do something about this.
Wow. You're young, you don't want ministry. Now God has called you into this thing, and there's pressures.
Definitely.
As a young man and as
Definitely.
a minister too, we have our
Definitely.
daughters of Zion that also love our men of God.
Sure.
And all of that. So can you take us through the journey of you going through the pressures of being a young man who is now suddenly called into ministry?
Like any other young man, there are growth stages that you have to pass through. Some of us stay longer than we should, but you definitely go through them. When I started preaching at the age of 17, go youth, yes, there were pressures of life. There were girls that came into the picture. Now so yeah, definitely we went through it, and there are people that you go to, and I don't think we were raised in such a manner that we were allowed to actually go and ask about what stages we were in.
Okay.
So we had to go through it somewhere or another. You just find yourself going through it, and when you look back now, you just wonder if I could have done better in some of these areas that we went into. But yes, you meet different ladies, you meet and and you just need to find a way. And I think if you don't have discipline on your own, this will definitely make you, or it will kill you somewhere, somehow.
Are you married?
Definitely not.
So you're single, meaning you're available? Are you available? Bishop.
I'm not sure if I'm available. Depends who's asking. But no, I'm currently not in a relationship. Just came out of a very bad breakup. Yeah, but the Lord is faithful.
Bishop. Now let's come into the reality and the gist of what we are about today. So you said that abosisi bahle, you
Yep.
know, and babodwa abosiso bafunayo, babodwa abosisa bafuna wena. Let's start with the ladies that actually pursue you. How do you deal with that?
I think bekumele siqale ngala besibafuna. Laba basifuna, it becomes very hard because you can only, I'm friendly. I'm a friendly person.
Yes.
So you meet me today, tomorrow we are friends.
Okay.
And sometimes that can be easily interpreted as something else. You send, the other day I sent a heart and his handler so on WhatsApp, and it was misinterpreted as something else. You know, so sometimes being friendly is also the enemy of progress, because yes, sometimes there are people who are interested in you and you are also interested back. But my rule in life has always been inyama yangabalula iza nokugula kwayo.
Okay.
So angazi ngibeke kahle mangabe bayaqhubeka abazalwana skis. But when somebody is pursuing you, there's usually something that is wrong, because that's not how life or nature should be. A man should be the one that pursues. So angeza kimi nje vele ungizele nentayela clear sengiyazi ukuthi une problem uyi-one. Cala ngiyakubuza.
Right there, Bishop, please be honest. Ufuna ukungitshela ukuthi as we are sitting here, you don't enjoy the attention
No.
that you get.
I'm not saying that. There's flattery that comes with it. I do enjoy it. But it also goes back to how much of it do you entertain.
Okay.
Yes, there are those that you like the attention from. But lobonga wakhona uyambona ukuthi une smile sokuthi ungasawu nokusho next week. Namhlanje kuzoba mnandi la. So I think generally you must be honest and say there are people we flirt with, but I always make my intentions clear to say I think you must never make it seem kwangathi now uyafuna ukuyala yena yakho. Yeah.
You said something about flirting. Is it not the reason or the cause of our daughters of Zion to actually hate a young lion? Because when you probably flirting, you're not even about that business because you just received a compliment. So don't you think flirter causes problems for the daughters of Zion?
Yeah, kunjalo. Flirting is one of the reasons why there's drama between daughters of Zion and abantu ababizi, my young lions. Because at the end of the day, I think if the intentions are clear, sonke angesibe nenkinga. But once I start saying to you, hi, smile, there's sort of an expectation that there should be more afterwards. So sihlulwa yiwo ke lawo my intentions lawo ukuthi I think with me I've had a lot of complicated relationships where saqala sidlala.
Okay.
And then at the end of the day you have to explain to say, but I never said, you know, because sometimes when you don't say that, some person misunderstands it as, but you should have said from the beginning. A compliment can easily turn into a relationship. So if I say to you namhlanje, yey unuka kamnandi, and mina ngithi kuwe hey ngiyabonga, and ngingasho ukuthi ngiyabonga bani, ngivele ngithi ngiyabonga siswami, and uyasibona lesmile ukuthi
Asithi siswami.
ayithi siswami. So I think let everything be clear from the beginning. There are a lot of misunderstandings that even ultimately when mhlambe ngelinye ilanga ngiyashada causes a lot of drama around my marriage or my wedding because there are intentions that did not or were not specific when we were having all these flirts and all these relationships.
Incengo bazalwane nizwele ukuthi uBishop uthi there were relationships that came from flirting and all of that. So kusho ukuthi inceke iyajola. Iyajola uBishop.
Inceke iyagossip. No, inceke iyakhothabheka.
You know what? This is actually very interesting, but we will be right back.
Sure.
In the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, welcome to Open Up with Malini.
Upbringing or childhood, it wasn't one of those that you can be pleased to share a story about. Yeah, I had to be a parent, a mother at a very young age.
So tell me, how did you, because growing up as a teenager, you need clothes, you need food, you need all of that. How did you actually provide for your family, or what means did you have to take to make sure ukuthi uyaqoka uyadla umuhle as a child of God? On top of that, ngoba kune pressure nangapha khabo Jesu angisho ukuthi kusuqoke the pressures of growing as a child and having to take care of the household responsibilities. It's never easy. I cannot say I know what she is going through, but it must have been something that is very, very emotional. Welcome back to Open Up with Malini. Today I'm with the Bishop Prince Wagantuli. If you've missed out, guys. But welcome to Open Up. So we are talking all things young lion. And before the break, we were talking about umfundisi ukuthi uyajola. Ngoba uthi there were relationships that came from ukuflirta kwakhe with some of the ladies. And now I want to know, Bishop Uguti, from flirting with all these ladies, because of isikhathi where you have to get married.
And it's
So
a
I
Sunday.
think there's going to be a lot of tears on your wedding day, or the day uthi ba ithombe laphayana ku Facebook ukuthi you've just lobolat someone.
Yo, that's a very pressurous question. I think there will always be a noise around the marrying of a pastor. One of my expectations, like I said, when things are not clearly communicated, kuba nomuntu ocabanga ukuthi nilapho ningekho lapho. And ekutholakala ukuthi, I'm not saying we are always right as young lions. There are times when there are things that should have been specified and said, look, I'm not where you are, just rest and I'll call. But there are also times when a man is as genuine as they come. And in him being as genuine as they come, somebody thinks the man said something, you know. So in that being said, generally, I think there will always be a noise around a marrying of a man, especially a young lion, because generally there will always be that one sister who's sitting there hoping that you come to them. So, yeah, man, sorry in advance.
I want to come to this part because Gunendo Yoguti, I'm a young lion, don't have money, and young lions follow ladies that have money and all of that. Now, you have older ladies that pursue you as young
Jesus
lions.
Christ.
True or false?
Yes, there are older ladies that come and take their chances with you. And I believe, like I said before, I think if you are a person of discipline, you will always know what you want. And there are times when you get, we are ngesizulu, you know. Mina generally, I think I've always known my weakness was money. And with that being said, a person who knows that they have a weakness, you block every avenue that you try to have that will try to come and take you down as a minister, you know. Because there are people that come and they say to you, "Ngicela ukufunda." There are people who say, "Hey, let me buy you whatever, sound." And you know, all I want in return is for
people
you.
or ladies?
Ladies.
Okay, yes.
Can't be guys. No. I'm straight. So there are ladies, older, younger, whoever that has money, you know, and they know that pastors don't want to work. Some of them are in full-time ministry. And at the end of the day, they're struggling with money. So they know the only way to get him to be attracted to this is I must bring what he likes. Okay. But in return, I must get what he likes. What I like, I mean. So at the end of the day, I think if you don't have discipline, before I started the ministry, I was a very naughty person. So there were things we did in the honor of we want to look like a certain caliber of people.
Okay.
So ngifuna amasuit amahle, ngifuna ama-tie, ngifuna ama-happy socks. I don't know if those are still in fashion. But besifuna ukuba fashionable, sithola ama-likes. But at the end of the day, at what expense was I doing them at, you know? So when I was about to start the ministry, I had to decide, ukuthi, Prince, are you going to continue where you are? Or uzo decide ukuba umuntu straight or ufuna ukwenza into straight?
So is this Prince agreeing to giving in to Abu Sisa Banemali?
That Prince did. This Prince will never.
Okay.
Also because I've learned, I have the t-shirts, I've been hurt by that lifestyle. Wangalimala lapho, angeke usafuna ukubuyela.
Wow.
Angeke, once you've been part of something, I've done it all, man. I've experienced it all. So once you've been there, now manje, sesingamane city testimony now because we have grown up. But at the end of the day, I really wish I had not gone through some of those things, because at the end of the day, they do cause hurt and they do affect you in future relationships.
Okay. I would like to know, because there's a young lion that's listening to us today.
Sure.
I would like to know the hurt, the hurt, because somebody's probably thinking, I'm unemployed, I'm called into ministry, nababosisi bayamfuna, what do I do? So just take us through the journey of being hurt by that kind of a lifestyle.
I'll first start off by saying don't do it. It's not worth it. Secondly, there are two types of people I want to get out of the picture. Ne? Kunalo oyenza ngoba ufuna imali. Kunalo oyenza ngothando, and then imali khona.
Okay.
So I'm one of those that I actually really like them, but kwatholakala ukuthi kunemali involved.
Oh, okay.
Then ukulimaza ngaleyo malanayo, because kuthiwa no uPrince akanamali, so ngizomcontrola ngaleyo mali anganayo. Yes. So you don't have decisions in those relationships. Firstly, it deprives you of your manhood.
Wow.
So you don't make decisions. Makuthiwa kuwe ekhaya mhlawumbe unama responsibilities akufonela athi uyakudinga manje, you have to respond.
Sure.
Because, well, I don't have it. If lo muntu angilahla ngisana plan mangisuka la. You know. So at the end of the day, you need to make that discipline to say, Ngingu Prince, what will I want to do with my life in future? So I will say to these young lions, don't do it. It's not worth it. Uzolimala. It's not worth it, really. I think if you want to do relationships, always make sure that it's about the love, not about the money.
Okay. Okay. There were two groups, as you said.
Yes.
It can be done for money and it can be done for love. So did you ever fall in love with someone in the name of trying to play at that time, because you have needs that must be catered for, and you found yourself in that relationship, and the next thing you know, you are just falling deeply in love with that person or for that person? Yes.
I was in a very long relationship with someone, and that relationship was genuine. It was real. I think sihlukane not so long ago. And what killed that relationship was I brought people into the picture.
Okay.
You are with somebody you love genuinely, but akana mali. And then you are with somebody, you meet somebody that has what she doesn't have. So you are compensating for what's missing in the relationship.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, sitholakala sesilimaza lo o genuine oze kahle, ongafuni ba mamfundisi, ongafuni ozithandela nje net wena. But because awunamali, so ufaka lo munye usis T azovala isikhala saka sis M. You understand? Right. So at the end of the day, you end up compensating for things that shouldn't have been compensated for to begin with. I think if we allowed patience to take place, at some point usis T na mhlambe ngaba right. You know, but because of the way science is in Tongayo, you are impatient. You end up finding yourself trying to take imali from law or letter law so that you can entertain law.
Sure.
So I won't lie, I have been in relationships where I've played, but I have also been in relationships where I was serious and I got hurt. So it's a bit of a 50. I think for this year, I was saying this year, 2021, sorry, the previous year, has paid me back for all the relationships I messed up in, man. you know, because what I went through in 2021 made sure that it reminds me ukuthi le nto ayenza labo sesilabya ilento abasazokuyenza yona empilweni. So 50-50 emhlabeni.
It's hectic. So are you saying that imali plays a big role in terms of pressurizing young ministers of the gospel?
Definitely. Definitely. I started a ministry last year in the worst year of my life. Firstly, your life is not in order. You're going in and out of relationships. Secondly, uqala relationship awusebenzi, uqala ministry awusebenzi. So it becomes hard because the nature of, I even realized this because I was listening to some of my sermons. You begin to preach a message that says iletheni le mali because inkosi ayidingi. But at the end of the day, you must have a job, a sustainable job, not because you are trying to hammer the young or full-time ministers. No, not at all. But we are trying to prevent an incident where your mind is sort of contaminated and your message changes.
Wow.
Yeah, but so Mina, generally with me, I had to decide, as in I have to go look for a job, even if it's just that nearby cashier, even if it means maybe you drive it takes, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying you need to have a source of income so that your message does not change.
Wow. Labo sisa badala, when they come to you with their money and all of that, what do they say? Do they want love? Do they want companionship? Do they want hit and run? You know, what is it exactly do they want? Or they're like, oh, young chama, I would like for you to marry me. Do they look for marriage, or it's just your one night stand, your hit and run?
Yeah, nalapho there are two generations of them. There are those that are actually genuine. They actually want to have a marriage with, as much as they are older. But bazibonela indoda kuwe. And there are those then ababotsotsi vele general uzele nje net hit and run job usho. Again, I will always maintain, if you don't grow up as a minister, all of these things are bound to be your portion. Uzodlula kizo, uzongena kizo, and you'll always be the testimony of things that you shouldn't have been there. Gizo. I think if I had listened to all the mentors and spiritual fathers when I started ministry, before I started ministry and started preaching, I would not be the minister I am olimele namhlanje. So for the sake of ukuthi, I think sihlala sisho ukuthi grace will carry you, grace will carry you. The truth is, grace will carry you so that you can be able to stand, yes. But grace never takes away the pain of what you went through. So you need to go back and now and sit down with yourself and heal from all the things that you went through. So if I had known before that I did these things, zizongli maza in future, I would not have done them. So yes, I still maintain there are two generations of women. There will always be laba bayenza ngamabom ebavele bafuna ukukuyisa, but there will also be those that are actually genuine. And again, for me, I've always held this regard: relationships are not about age. If you have decided, I mean, I know couples that where the woman is older and they've made it work. So it's not about the age. It's about purpose for me. If you guys are going in the same direction and you actually genuinely love each other, why not? But I'm never gonna go into a relationship hoping that a 47-year-old is gonna submit to a 31-year-old. It will never happen. She's experienced more in life. She knows more in life. So injalo. So don't put yourself in a trap where you can't have a say as a man. What kills a lot of men, even now in marriages, when you sit down with them and listen to them, is they have been deprived their manhood. Simply that. If a man cannot provide, then he's not a man. If a man cannot protect, then he's not a man. If you, every time we're in a relationship, you have to step in as a woman and protect me, then we're in a challenge. If it's a restaurant and I have to pay for the bill, and quickly you have to slip a card under the table just to protect me, you are becoming a man. Angazi ngenza sense. So I'm saying to you, don't put yourself in a relationship where you can't be a prince or provider. Because at the end of the day, you will be asked ukuthi iphi kanti imali egross.
Wow. I love how you are actually opening up about this. And because most of the time we find ourselves judging you guys, not knowing the pressure
Sure.
that you are going through and not understanding certain decisions that you have to make because mhlambe of home conditions and all of that. And how do you handle all of that? Because now there's judgment from
Sure.
from the church, and you are also doing what you don't like. To Paul, what I want to do, I don't do, and
Yeah.
that which I want to do, you know. So I want to know, Guti, how do you now take the rejection, the punches, everything from the church as a young lion? Because not only are people fighting you as young lions because of relationships, but because you are young, people think that young people should not be called. So how do you deal with that? You are bruised from a relationship
Eish.
with a woman that has actually taken away your ego, and now you still have to function as a young minister who is also struggling financially. At the same time, now Babo Malindi is saying things about you with lack of understanding.
I think again, I think we spoke about it this morning before Stali interview. You can't protect yourself from everyone. You can't fight every battle. You can't defend yourself from everyone.
Sure.
People will always have an opinion. Gugmanje, I started a church and it was said to me, you are too young. I guess we need to start finding an age then is about appropriate to start ministry.
Sure.
You know, when you're studying ministry and you're not working, but you know, when you're working, they say to you, no, so at the end of the day, you will always have an opinion about somebody's life. But what you must always strive for as a person is, my belief is, just make sure that on your side, you are okay with yourself. So with me, I've learned the art of just allowing myself to be okay with the decisions I've made, to be okay with the life I've lived, and also heal from the decisions that were mistakes.
Sure.
And also understand why I had to do some of the things I did. A person who has never been, yabona umuntu okhe ongakaze wavalelwa umnyango akalazi pain lokuvalelwa umnyango, and mawumchazela ngalo uzolicompare ngento e-weak. I said something ngenza ijoke to a lady, and I asked him, a period pains feel like a heart attack. Ngathi mina, I would never know because I've never had period pains. So you have to equate it with something you've been through.
Yeah.
So generally, when I say to people, don't judge us for the things we do because you don't know what we go through behind the scenes.
Sure.
Ngingumfundisi omenywa everywhere. Anginakar. So when I call a lady to come and take me to church, she's the only one accessible.
Sure.
Don't say siyajola. It's just me asking a daughter in the church to take me to wherever I need to go to make sure that the ministry of God or the calling that God has called me for is fulfilled. Yeah. But at the end of the day, uprince uhamba namantombazana ahamba ngamakar ebusuku. You know? So at the end of the day, you just need to make sure you understand the behind the scenes before you judge the public. So before you say to me, Prince is promiscuous and he's flirty, he's too friendly, he's with every girl in Witbank and in Middlebank and in Bethel and whatever, just make sure you understand the story behind.
Shoo! Guys, go shoo shoo. He's really opening up. We will be right back.